Hi, this is Jason from Horrific Nightmares, and it's time for a positive spin. Now, today we're going to be talking about the much hated Creepshow 3. Now, my relationship with this film is I waited a while to see it because I had heard so much hate for it, and I was always a big fan of the first two Creepshow movies. So, with everyone saying how bad it was, had to be bad, right? Apparently not. So I watched it when it came on cable because this is HBO Video, I think, that does this, that put this out. Yeah, HBO Video. And I didn't see what was so bad about it, basically. Then I was lucky enough to find it at a flea market. It was brand new. And I hadn't watched it since I've had it, which has been it's been quite a while. So it stayed sealed upstairs until Joe and I watched it for Positive Spin. And I was wondering how I was going to take to it this time. So let's put a positive spin on Creepshow 3. Now, first of all, this anthology has 5 segments, and they are Alice, the professor's wife, Haunted Dog, Call Girl, and the radio. And I was wondering how I was going to do this. I like when I do anthologies because I review them by the segments, not as a whole per se. I like to dive into the parts because essentially an anthology is a bunch of little films which make up one big film. So honestly, this is my third time doing this positive spin because I realized that I really couldn't say much about each segment since they were short and not give anything away. And I really feel like Creepshow 3 is a film that not a lot of people have seen. I really do. Also, Joe and I were actually going to do this positive spin when Scream Factory announced that they were going to release it on Blu ray. But, gotta love Scream Factory, they just did it as a limited edition. Womp womp. So, they're probably hard to get and very expensive. And this DVD is actually not cheap either. So, either they made too little of them or people actually like it more than they say they do. Don't know which one is which, but let's get on with that positive spin. First of all, I like every segment in this anthology. The complaint that I kept reading was there wasn't any of the creeper, and they kind of broke away from what they were doing in the first two with the comic book stuff. And for that, I will say that the creeper is in there a couple times, just in very small amounts at the very end. So, I mean, in a way, I guess I can kind of understand why people were a little upset about that. And the comic book stuff is still in there, just not that much. So, while it's still in there, it's not as much as it's not as prevalent as it was in the first two and in the actual series itself. So, in a way, I understand that. Well, let's take that out of it and let's go by segments and what I think is probably one of the best wraparounds I've ever seen. So, things that I liked about Creepshow 3. While I was waiting for Joe to watch this, because I hadn't seen it in ages, I actually watched the behind the scenes. And I think I watched about half of it, which is a special feature on here. And I'm not really sure if Scream Factory ported it over. They probably did, but I'm not sure about that. So I was actually listening to how they made this anthology and the love that they put into it. Now, did that influence my decision of liking the film? Maybe a little, but not really. I like to judge films based on their merits alone and not what people tell me, if you couldn't tell, because this is a positive spin, and most people actually hate this film. But I will say that the things I liked about it, I liked the acting. I thought it was a lot of fun. I like the special effects, the makeup effects. They're practical and they're also a lot of fun. Problem is, I can't say too much about the individual segments because I will give stuff away. But I will say this: my friend Bryn Horror Hands had a fantastic idea. What would be the perfect anthology? Well, I'm going to apply it here because I started thinking about that, and I was like, what would be the perfect Creepshow anthology? You have three segments, right? And you can take it from any of the three. And my perfect Creepshow anthology would be Something to Tide You Over from the first one, The Raft from Creepshow 2, and The Professor's Wife from Creepshow 3. One of the best segments I've ever seen. Very dark humor, but it's so much fun. It's what Creepshow is all about. And a lot of this anthology, to me, is what Creepshow is about. And I don't understand why people don't like it. This also has probably the best wraparound that I've ever seen in an anthology movie. Basically, what you have is a neighborhood, both the city and the suburbs, and everyone is going about their daily lives. And it's like people have been plucked from their neighborhoods in order to tell a story. But as they're being plucked, you see other scenes from other segments kind of taking place at the same time. So it all ties together very neatly. It's just the thought that went into it, I thought was very, very smart, very clever. I really like this movie. I don't know what the hate is for it. If it's because of the comic and the creeper, they are in there. They're just in there in very small amounts. But to love the first two and to love the series like most people do, but then to kind of bag on Creepshow 3, I think it's a missed opportunity for people to really see a really well made anthology. So check out Creepshow 3 or don't. Don't forget to check out Joe's video for Creepshow 3. Physical media matters. And until next time, peace.